Welcome back to Exciting Europe.
Welcome to a visual feast of Venetian artistry. Forget the canals for a moment, because today we're immersed in the Accademia Galleries of Venice, an unparalleled showcase of the Venetian school's evolution and brilliance. Prepare to discover why no other gallery captures this artistic journey with such depth and passion. And who knows, we might even glimpse a true icon, Leonardo da Vinci's rarely seen yet legendary Vitruvian Man, a fragile masterpiece that forever shaped our understanding of art and humanity. Get ready to encounter the titans of Venetian painting: Bellini, whose serene Madonnas defined an era; Titian, the master of vibrant color and sensuality; Tintoretto, with his dramatic sweeping compositions; the enigmatic Giorgione, and the opulent visions of Veronese.
Nestled on the south bank of Venice's Grand Canal in the Dorsoduro district, the Accademia Galleries are conveniently located at the foot of the Accademia Bridge. This prime spot also gives its name to both the bridge and the easily accessible Accademia Vaporetto stop. Plan your visit accordingly. Tuesday to Sunday, the galleries are open from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., last entry at 6 p.m. Mondays offer shorter hours, typically 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., with the ticket office closing at 1 p.m. Tickets range from 15 to 20 euros depending on the season. You can find a purchase link in the description, or simply scan the QR code on your screen. You can purchase the gallery's publications when buying your entrance tickets. These publications, such as the concise "Don't Miss These 30" or the comprehensive "Don't Miss These 60", will be available for collection upon arrival. We recommend considering these resources, as the galleries offer benches where you can delve into the details of the artworks and enrich your understanding. While our gallery tour features 12 masterpieces, it's important to note that these are not the only significant artworks on display. To emphasize this point, this is one of Italy's most important art galleries, boasting more than 800 paintings dating from the 1200s to the 1700s.
Our exploration begins with a true rarity, often hidden from public view: Leonardo da Vinci's Vitruvian Man. This iconic drawing, a quintessential representation of the High Renaissance, has been in the Accademia's collection since 1822. Created in 1490, this over 500-year-old masterpiece depicts a nude male figure in two superimposed positions, arms and legs outstretched, perfectly inscribed within a circle and a square. But why this particular image? The inspiration comes from Vitruvius, a moderately successful architect and engineer of the Roman Republic, lived from 80 to 20 BC. His enduring legacy is his 10 books on architecture, the only substantial architectural treatise surviving from antiquity. In its third volume, Vitruvius discusses human body proportions, referring to the figures within a circle and square as homo ad circulum and homo ad quadratum. For example, the text accompanying the drawing states, "The length of the outspread arms is equal to the height of the man. From the hairline to the bottom of the chin is 1/10 of the height of the man. From below the chin to the top of the head is 1/8 of the height of the man. From above the chest to the top of the head is 1/6 of the height of the man." And so on, with further detailed measurements. Due to its extreme sensitivity to light, the Vitruvian Man is rarely displayed. It resides in a locked room on the 4th floor of the galleries, carefully preserved. Let's step into Room 1, the former chapter house of the Grand School. Here, under a magnificent gilded wooden ceiling carved by Marco Cosi between 1461 and 1484, we encounter the earliest treasures of the collection. Our first highlight is Paolo Veneziano's The Coronation of the Virgin, or Santa Chiara, Polyptych. Originating from Venice's Santa Chiara monastic complex, This polyptych is a stunning example of intricate craftsmanship and structured design, its multiple tiers framed in elaborate carved and gilded wood. The central panel radiates with the Coronation of the Virgin, set amidst a celestial choir of angels, the scene enriched by the lavish use of gold, emphasizing the divine and royal nature of the event. The exquisitely painted silk fabrics, adorned with refined oriental patterns, further enhance the heavenly splendor, showcasing Veneziano's exceptional skill. Surrounding this focal point, the side compartments narrate key gospel stories, from the Nativity to the Ascension. Above, the polyptych depicts scenes from the lives of Saint Francis and Saint Clare, alongside representations of Pentecost and the Last Judgment. One captivating scene portrays Saint Clare's investiture by Saint Francis and her entry into monastic life, where she wears a distinctive striped cloak, a typical garment for Venetian nuns, possibly symbolizing their commitment to poverty and humility. In the poignant crucifixion scene, we witness the fainting Virgin Mary with a sword piercing her heart, a powerful depiction of Christ's martyrdom conveyed through his mother's sorrow, resonating deeply with its original monastic setting. This room also houses two other noteworthy pieces, both featuring a fascinating, though not uncommon, element: the inclusion of the donor within the sacred scene, ensuring their memory. These are Lorenzo Veneziano's The Lion Polyptych, or the Annunciation with Saints, Prophets, and Donor, named after its donor, Domenico Lion, who is depicted as a small kneeling figure at the Virgin's feet. The second is Niccolò di Pietro's The Virgin and Child Enthroned with Donor Vulciano Belgarzone of Zara, where Vulciano Belgarzone, a nobleman from Zara and the painting's patron, kneels respectfully to the left of the throne.
Moving into room 2, we encounter Giovanni Bellini's The Virgin and Child Enthroned with Saints Francis, John the Baptist, Job, Dominic, Sebastian, Louis of Toulouse, and angel musicians, called the San Giobbe Altarpiece. Originally painted for the second altar on the right in Venice's San Giobbe Church, Bellini's altarpiece is a masterclass in harmony and grandeur. Assembled from 15 poplar panels and later adapted to fit Pietro Lombardo's refined stone frame, the piece invites the viewer into a vision that feels both sacred and tangible. At its heart, the Virgin sits elevated, serenely encircled by saints and angelic musicians. On the left, Saint Francis gently gestures toward her, quietly guiding our gaze. Opposite him, Saint Louis of Toulouse completes this Franciscan tribute. Flanking the throne, the bare-chested Saint Job, San Giobbe's namesake, and the youthful Saint Sebastian echo each other in poise and suffering. Though the figures seem naturally placed, Bellini arranged them with meticulous geometric precision, each element converging to center our attention on the Virgin. The perspective is brilliantly engineered. It draws the eye upward from the angels at the base, creating the illusion that these life-size figures are not painted but truly present, stepping into our space. The result is a seamless fusion of painted illusion and architectural reality, where Renaissance artistry and Lombardo's frame transform the altar into a living, breathing chapel. In the same room, we find Giambattista Cima da Conegliano's The Virgin and Child, enthroned with Saints Catherine, George, Nicholas, Anthony Abbot, Sebastian, and Lucy, called the Dragan Sacra Conversazione. Cima da Conegliano's luminous altarpiece is a quintessential example of Sacra Conversazione, a distinctly Venetian style that places the Virgin and Child within a grand architectural space, engaged in quiet, timeless dialogue with a gathering of saints. This refined compositional form, shaped by the innovations of Antonello da Messina and Giovanni Bellini, finds a graceful expression here in Cima's hands. Commissioned by ship owner Giorgio Dragan for his tomb in Santa Maria della Carità, the very building that now houses the Accademia, This work dates to around 1499 to 1501, shortly after Dragan's death. Cima's style reflects the sculptural clarity of the time, merging the solidity of contemporary sculpture with the painterly subtlety of his Venetian predecessors. Adding a personal twist, scholars believe Dragan may have immortalized himself as Saint George, clad in armor and positioned beside Saint Nicholas of Bari, protector of sailors and his personal patron, lending the painting a quietly autobiographical layer of devotion and identity.
Step into room 3 and encounter the quiet majesty of Jacopo Bellini's The Virgin and Blessing Child with Cherubs, a signed masterpiece that marks the full maturity of the artist's style, still preserved in its original frame. The Madonna, at once monumental and tender, cradles the child behind a strikingly shaped parapet, her cloak delicately dotted with gold, a gentle echo of Bellini's Gothic roots, while the spatial sophistication of the scene firmly anchors it in the Renaissance. The figures possess a sculptural solidity, and subtle details, a book and cushion jutting beyond the ledge, create a convincing illusion of space, revealing Bellini's debt to Paduan masters like Squarcione and Mantegna, themselves heirs to Donatello's legacy. The cherubs that hover behind, traditional emblems of divine wisdom, lend the work a celestial stillness. One fascinating detail, the Virgin's cloak, now a muted green, was originally a radiant deep blue, painted with costly lapis lazuli. Time and chemistry dimmed its brilliance, though traces of its original glow, achieved with shimmering shell gold flakes, still remain, awaiting future restoration to rekindle their luster. Even the angled parapet, with its diagonally placed book and cushion, subtly pulls the viewer into the picture's depth, a quiet illusion learned from Mantegna's revolutionary perspective.
In room 5, Giovanni Bellini's The Lamentation over the Dead Christ, Pietà, offers a moment of profound stillness and sorrow. Created for private devotion, this intimate painting draws from the Northern European Vesper build tradition, images of mourning shown at twilight on Good Friday. An elderly Virgin Mary tenderly supports the lifeless body of Christ, his limp arm falling beside Bellini's signature, etched into the stone beneath them like a quiet testament. This anointing stone becomes both altar and tomb, grounding the viewer in the physical and emotional weight of the scene. Bellini's composition forms a soft pyramid in the foreground, focusing entirely on the raw grief of a mother holding her son. There is no cross, no tomb, only the figures, suspended in their private sorrow. Behind them, a dreamlike landscape subtly evokes the city of Vicenza, with its pre-Palladian cathedral, the old Palazzo della Ragione, and the Torre di Piazza. This backdrop, though imagined, would feel familiar to many viewers of Bellini's time, deepening their emotional connection. The walled town, nestled against the Alpine foothills, mirrors the fortified cities of the Venetian mainland. Bellini likely sketched these details during a trip to Vicenza to deliver the Transfiguration, blending observation with poetic idealization, a gesture that transforms grief into something quietly universal.
Step into room 6B and witness the dramatic crescendo of Venetian devotion in Giovanni Bellini's monumental The Martyrdom of St. Mark. This sweeping canvas, part of a cycle honoring Venice's patron saint, follows the grandeur of St. Mark's Basilica mosaics with a deeply human ground-level intensity. Though Bellini began the work in 1515, it was completed a decade later by his pupil Vittore Belliniano, who added his own signature to this vivid legacy. The scene is gripping. St. Mark's final moments unfold across a turbulent Alexandria. Look closely at the lower right corner. There, the actual martyrdom unfolds beside a shadowed doorway, echoing a nearly identical scene in the 13th century mosaics of the Zen chapel. Behind the tormentors, a figure gestures toward a ship in the distant port of Ancona, a pointed nod to the city's growing commercial rivalry. By subtly inserting this reference, Bellini, or Belliniano, reminds viewers that Venice's dominance was never guaranteed, and St. Mark's protection remained as vital as ever. Also in Room 6, B, Paris Bordon's The Presentation of the Ring to the Doge brings a striking shift from sacred martyrdom to civic legend. One of Bordon's earliest public commissions after studying under Titian, and likely secured through family connections to the Scuola's leadership, the work illustrates the dramatic legend of the fisherman, a tale steeped in Venetian lore. Unlike the overtly devotional tone of the St. Mark cycle, Bordon's painting offers a theatrical spectacle rooted in the miraculous. According to the legend, during a fierce storm in 1340, a humble fisherman unknowingly ferried Saints Nicholas, George, and Mark to battle a demonic ship threatening Venice. Here, we see the moment after. The fisherman presents St. Mark's ring, proof of the divine intervention, to Doge Bartolomeo Gradenigo. The composition unfolds like a public ceremony filled with symbolism. The modest fisherman, a stand-in for the Nicolotti working-class community, stands in sharp contrast to the richly dressed patricians in positions of authority. Flanked by the black-robed confraternity brothers, he serves as their humble voice, advocating for the virtue of the people before the grandeur of state, blurring the line between legend, civic pride, and subtle social commentary.
Step into the poetic, dreamlike world of Giorgione in Room 8, where the Tempest continues to mesmerize and mystify. Once described in 1530 as a landscape with the gypsy and the soldier, this atmospheric masterpiece journeyed through Venetian collections before finally arriving at the Accademia in 1932. Its haunting stillness and enigmatic figures have sparked centuries of speculation, from mythological interpretations to deeply personal allegories. Among the most persuasive theories is one linking the painting to the noble Vendramin family, who may have commissioned it. Drawing from Virgil's Aeneid, it may depict Silvius, son of Aeneas, shown both as an infant cradled by Lavinia beside the river Lethe and as a future Roman warrior. The crackling lightning bolt, Jove's own weapon, may allude to divine favor and the eternal glory of the Vendramin line. Subtle details like the broken staff at the soldier's side quietly echo this arc of triumph and lineage. Yet, the Tempest resists easy explanation. A 1959 X-ray uncovered an earlier version in which a nude woman bathed in the stream, replacing the soldier's figure, suggesting a shift in meaning or intent. Some believe this points to the painting as a lyrical meditation, shaped more by Giorgione's inner world than by a fixed narrative. Still, the composition's calculated balance and veiled symbolism hint at a deeper program, likely conceived in dialogue with an erudite patron, merging personal vision with poetic myth and elevating landscape into pure, painterly poetry.
In Room 10, prepare to be dazzled by the monumental drama and dazzling color of Paolo Veronese's Feast in the House of Levi, a riotous symphony of pageantry, opulence, and architectural splendor. Originally commissioned to replace Titian's destroyed Last Supper for the Dominican convent of Santi Giovanni e Paolo, this enormous canvas, measuring over 40 feet wide, quickly became one of the crown jewels of Veronese's celebrated cycle of banquet scenes. More theater than theology, the painting reimagines the Sacred Supper as a grand Venetian spectacle, populated not only by Christ and his disciples, but by a cast of characters seemingly plucked from the canals, courts, and comedy stages of 16th century Venice. And yet, it was precisely this exuberant creativity that sparked controversy. The Holy Office, the Inquisition, summoned Veronese in 1573 on charges of irreverence and heresy. Their objections? A jumble of fantastical and inappropriate figures. A servant dabbing a nosebleed, a jester entertaining a parrot, German soldiers swaggering in armor. Veronese's response was bold and brilliant. With calm defiance, he likened himself to a poet, or even a madman, free to adorn his scenes with imaginative flourishes, so long as they didn't intrude upon the sacred heart of the composition. Rather than repaint the vast canvas as ordered, Veronese took a simpler route. He changed the title. By renaming it Feast in the House of Levi, referencing a biblical banquet from the Gospel of Luke, he retroactively redefined the entire narrative, neatly sidestepping the Inquisition's demands. The result? A masterstroke of both diplomacy and artistry, preserving not just the painting, but Veronese's creative freedom in the face of rigid orthodoxy.
In room 11, encounter the final haunting masterpiece of Titian's long and storied career, the Lamentation over the Dead Christ. Conceived as a deeply personal ex voto, a sacred offering during the devastating plague of 1576, this painting was meant to hang above Titian's own tomb in the Frari Basilica. Yet fate, like the pestilence that claimed both the artist and his beloved son Orazio, intervened. After passing through several hands and locations, the painting found its permanent sanctuary in the Accademia in 1814, where it continues to stir profound emotion. This is not the polished Titian of imperial portraits and mythic nudes, but the aging master confronting mortality. In the flickering torchlight, Christ's lifeless body lies at the center of a composition steeped in sorrow and spiritual urgency. Mary Magdalene bursts forward in raw, uncontained anguish, her arms flung wide, almost breaching the canvas, while the Virgin and a contemplative elder, likely Joseph of Arimathea, or perhaps even a veiled self-portrait of Titian himself, mourn with quiet intensity. Above them, a grand classical architecture looms, echoing the visionary designs of Giulio Romano and Sebastiano Serlio, while a luminous mosaic of a pelican, piercing its own breast to feed its young, glows with Eucharistic symbolism. Following Titian's death, his devoted pupil, Palma il Giovanni, completed the unfinished canvas, adding minor touches such as the angel with a torch perched high above. Yet Palma couldn't help marking his presence with a bold Latin inscription, claiming authorship of the final strokes and dedicating the work to God, a lasting reminder that even in grief, artistic legacy endures.
The rescue of the body of St. Mark, created with his son Domenico for the Scuola di San Marco's chapter house, vividly depicts the legendary retrieval of St. Mark's body in Alexandria. After pagans brutally dragged his body, a sudden terrifying storm caused their flight, allowing Christians to seize the body from the flames. The central composition echoes deposition scenes, with Mark's elongated body reminiscent of Christ's, and a contemporary figure resembling Tommaso Rangone, the Scuola's leader, taking a prominent role. The oblique architecture and the perspective of the pavement powerfully draw the viewer into the scene. The square, eerily deserted after the pagans' panicked retreat beneath dramatic, light-edged dark clouds, feels vast and unsettling. The ghostly buildings, the swift brushstrokes forming luminous figures, and the shimmering golden rain create a dreamlike and intense atmosphere. St. Mark freeing the slave from the torments marks the powerful debut of the young Tintoretto, barely 30, on Venice's competitive art scene, earning high praise. This dynamic canvas, the first in a grand cycle celebrating St. Mark's protection, depicts a Provence master's cruel torture of his slave for venerating St. Mark's relics. As tormentors inflict their cruelty, the miraculous arrival of St. Mark from above shatters the instruments of torture. The composition is strikingly theatrical, with figures densely packed and linked by energetic movements. The dramatic interplay between the descending saint and the suffering slave anchors a diverse crowd reacting with awe and emotion, their varied origins emphasizing the miracle's universal significance. Tintoretto's masterful use of light and intense color, applied with broad, furious brushstrokes, intensifies the dramatic impact. Step into room 21 and immerse yourself in the vibrant storytelling of Vittore Carpaccio's The Meeting of Ursula and the Prince from the renowned Saint Ursula cycle. Created for the Scuola di Sant'Orsola in 1488, this monumental 9-canvas cycle paints the legendary life of the Scuola's patron saint, Saint Ursula, capturing her extraordinary journey with vivid detail and grandeur. Carpaccio, dedicating several years from 1490 to 1495, and perhaps even longer, meticulously infused each scene with contemporary architectural details, breathing life into this medieval tale. This particular canvas, the largest in the cycle, unfolds across a dynamic series of moments. On the left, Prince Aetherius bids an emotional farewell to his father, while on the right, Ursula takes leave of hers, marking the beginning of their fateful pilgrimage. The background teems with activity, a grand procession culminating in the couple's embarkation. Their departure is captured with such graceful precision as they board a small rowboat, soon to be carried away to a waiting ship that will take them on their destined journey. The scale and energy of the piece draw the viewer into this pivotal moment, making it feel as though you too are standing at the threshold of their epic adventure.
As our exploration of the Accademia galleries draws to a close, we hope you've been inspired by the sheer genius and evolution of Venetian art, from the delicate gold of early masters to the vibrant canvases of the Renaissance titans. This is just a glimpse into the treasures held within these walls, a testament to Venice's enduring artistic legacy. But your Venetian art adventure doesn't have to end here. On Exciting Europe, we have even more captivating videos waiting for you, ready to unlock the secrets and stories behind other iconic Venetian museums. Journey with us through the opulent halls of the Doge's palace and delve into further masterpieces at the Corer Museum. There's a whole world of Venetian art waiting to be discovered. So, subscribe, stay tuned, and let Exciting Europe be your guide to the breathtaking beauty and rich history of this extraordinary city.